father's story, sort of all the many things that he went through over the course of his life, because he passed away last month at the age of 89 years old. And he was somebody who went from being a young man before World War II, enduring the atrocities of the Japanese occupation, signing up soon after the Organic Act was passed for the US Air Force, going from small island to big cities to bases across the world, all the way to Vietnam, seeing terrible things there as well, experiencing a lot of discrimination for the time, but also sort of having a large family, being a musician, a fisherman, part of politics in Guam. And so I'm happy that Ed is here to sort of to talk about his father's story.
So his story began in 1941. One of the first things that my dad remembered was he and a bunch of other kids from different villages were assigned to make the runway over in Harmon, where Harmon is on Guam now, which everyone knows here was a former runway. And my dad's first experience with Japanese was that they would incentivize them to make the runway quicker. So they devised these games that they could play on each other to make them, make the runway a lot faster. And one of the things that my dad remembers very well was that they made a game that if your team, put down the most yardage of runway, then you get to slap the team that did the least for the day. And so the kids, were subjected to this treatment, and everybody was trying hard not to be the one who did the least yardage. So, that was torture for my dad, because he told me that no 11-year-old kid, 10-year-old kid, 12-year-old kid should be having to be subjected to that. Fast forward then to, his 18th, 19th birthday, and then the passage of the Organic Act. My dad joined the military in 1951. And he joined because he wanted to give back for what the United States did. At first, he thought it was a liberation. In his later years, he realized it was only a rescue, that they rescued them from the Japanese. There was no true liberation. And he came to that conclusion as he went through his military career and realized it was not all what it was cropped up to be. My dad joined the military and in 1951. And, you imagine this guy who comes from dirt roads and jungle to a guy now driving a car on an 8-lane superhighway with a map, trying to find out where he's supposed to go. And that was another, thing that my dad had to deal with, and a lot of Chamorros at that time, because there were a lot of Chamorros who joined for that reason, to give back and be thankful for the rescue. As you know, there was a lot of discrimination and racism in the military at that time. He and a bunch of Chamorros were working on a base. I believe it was Edwards Air Force Base in California. And my dad was in the aircraft mechanic unit there, along with some Chamorros and a lot of Howleys and a few blacks. And the stateside-ers, I guess, they started making jokes about the blacks and the Chamorros and anyone else who wasn't white. And at first it was just friendly patter. They were just, my dad didn't take it seriously. They would tease him like grasshopper and grass skirt, and do you guys know anything back there on Guam? I learned a lot from the people that were from that generation, and all of their stories had a common thread, which was there was sufferance, there was colonialism, there was violence. Everybody has that same thread in their stories, one way or another. We are made to feel that we are the ones that are racist, discriminatory. We are made to feel that way. But the truth is, we were given all this. When you are the colonized, you don't get to choose.